Alright, so let's do one more. Just taking a look here at the bottom of the hand, and we'll do this a little bit faster. So gesture is looking at the width of the wrist through the palm and then into the finger. So it's going to be, in this case, a little bit of an S curve. Sweep across, keeping an arc from little finger down to the end of the first finger, and then I'm bringing that back into a gesture that is just defining the width of the wrist. At the thumb I would add separate, but here I'm just kind of after a glove shape. Now where is the landmark for the wrist? So radius, and I'm going to make a 2x4 shape that gives the direction and perspective of the forearm. It doesn't have to be perfect, just your best guess just to get started, because this is going to give you your perspective for the palm too. Now the palm is bent down, so I'm never going to change too much this relationship, but it can swing down some. So I'm imagining the palm kind of moving down at a slight angle. So that would be, and I would see, like if we were looking inside the wrist, more of that front facing plane, and then down. So I'm just changing the direction to go in, not with the forearm in this case, but with the angle the palm is tilted. And I'm not going to be able to use my halfway because the fingers are foreshortened. So instead I'm going to end the palm where I think it's kind of visually stopping in the whole of that glove shape, and then work more so on foreshortening the fingers. And now, so this has become my my palm. So I'm going to do, before we add into the fingers, structure for the thumb. And you can kind of see the teardrop shape that we talked about here for the muscle of the thumb, kind of giving you this mass in here. And now I want to do a bit of the door wedge. So I think coming to about here, because it looks like it's raised up some. So let's say something like this. And then here's the end. And I'm just going to put this across that plane. And so then when I would start to add the knuckle, I would just put it right there and then begin the study from that area, or the finger, sorry. So 1, 2, so that's just kind of giving myself an idea of where that's going to be, or how that's going to look. And let's look at some of the fingers. So here is same approach. Let's lay in all the spheres to begin with. And I might overlap some of these just to get a better idea of how each one sits. And then here. And then same exact start as last time. Straights with spheres. And then trying to think about each digit getting slightly shorter. This is one of the reasons I chose this example is because I think it has a lot of the craziness that we're used to with the hands in terms of the foreshortening. So here is the ring finger. So you could double check your arcs as you're doing this between the different areas. Let me erase this a bit. So I think we have our first knuckle here, just getting a better view of the thumb. And I do this sometimes, kind of jump around from finger to finger. It's ending there. I think actually it's to your advantage. You don't want to get too lost in focusing on one area, especially with the hand, or it's gonna, you're likely to lose sight of it. Because this is starting to flex, it's pushing up against the padding, and so this padding is pinching. Right, so remember, we want to think about the palm as a softer area that has a lot of potential for being squashed or stretched. Here's the ring finger. This last one was a middle finger. And ending there. And then this small finger is raised quite a bit. So it's like here, here. Okay, and I would be happy with this as a starting point. So now we'll kind of come back up here and give a little bit more of a perspective read to each. So I think I'm going to give this, let's give this a better, it's got a little muddy in there. So plane, let's bring this up kind of into here. Knuckle. Okay. All right, so let's start with that, and I'm going to give my perspective. So this is coming toward. So thumb has just proximal and distal. So proximal, then the thumb is bending, kind of has that 90-degree quality bend, and then this just slightly comes out. So proximal and distal here. And then you could see, like in the areas between, here's the pinch, so one line per, and then a loop in between, and it gives that quality of the padding getting pinched against. Same thing here, maybe as the thumb is pressing in against the padding, you see a pinch, like that. And then just to kind of finish this off while we're in the area, this last, I'm going to put a little bit of the nail, and I'm going to distort it to make it look like it goes across that perspective if it doesn't clearly have that feeling. And then we're going to soften the bottom of each digit with a curve. So those are the steps. The only difference from that last one is I just did all of them sequentially on just the one area instead of moving from one to the next more rapidly. Okay, so now let's look at, I mean, we'll do that for all of them just to give you a different approach or different way of organizing the information. So the bottom of the palm is a little bit different than the top, of course, and one reason would be that instead of having the roof, you would have something that's more recessed. So this center area to the palm is doing the opposite. It's pushing up, or down in this case, but it's just the reflection, right? It's the opposite of what's happening above. Here's the stop where all the padding with the fingers could be, and then you see how on this side, because the fingers are starting to lift, that this is all pinching. So C curve, C curve. This is shorter as a distance, and then this, because the fingers are extended, this stretches out. So I kind of have this stretching for that middle finger, and then you could see the crease line in the finger, how it just kind of goes across that perspective. So that's maybe a good thing to look for if you're feeling less than confident about the perspectives, is look at the crease or the wrinkles in the skin. So now what is the perspective doing? Well, this one looks like it's coming out. This is a drawing, or when I draw these, I think of these as just being kind of slightly inside the contour. That way I have some wiggle room to change or design if I need to on top. And then these are also coming out, but this is progressively becoming more foreshortened. So that means I'm going to shorten the length of the part and then show you more of the perspective. So something like that. And then this is doing something similar. I think it's actually kind of going away more. I could be wrong, but I'm going to go with this. So let's say it's going away, and that's what's causing this big stretch. This is the knuckle, and then the next finger starts to come up. That's why you have this really dramatic pinch. So it's coming this way. And then this one turns up. then the ring finger. This comes out. Knuckle comes up, but at an angle, and then comes back in. And then this is very much lifting and less foreshortened. Okay, so that's my basic architecture. So let's put some design lines on top. So all of this, I'm going to try to darken in the bony areas a bit more. End of the metacarpal, knuckle, drop down, and then to the nail. And then the bottom is still the C curve, the loop like we did, C curve, and then trying to simplify. So I don't care about every single wrinkle or crease. I'm really trying to edit in for what I think I need, or what's going to tell the most important parts of what it is that we set out as the crucial design information in the first part of the lecture. You could see how useful some of these simple volumes might be in creating simplified lighting shapes. Right, so this is just like a firm edge on a cylinder and putting that plane into shadow. Or like the turn of the door wedge here gives you the shadow on the side of the thumb, right? And same thing, you kind of follow down the bone and how that creates a core shadow for that area. This would be the radius, just to give us some connectivity into the upper arm. This casts a bit of a shadow, it looks like. And then this is stretched. So you can see I'm modifying that initial 2x4. Okay, now to go down to the finger here, this is all soft. So let's do our stretch, or C curve or S curve, from the back of one ball to the center of the next. Back of one to the center. And then for the bottom, what's even more useful is just bring this over as a wrapping line. That way you get the perspective, but it looks like the crease. And then whatever I see of the top, I'm going to try to give it a very squared or straight line look. Probably made this a little too long, so I'm going to shorten it some. Sharper on top. And then even though I don't have the nail, I'm still going to make that feel like it's the ending of a cylinder. Right, so it's kind of like looking like that. But all of this is soft on the bottom. Next part, so we could see some of that stretch between the bottom of the palm. There's also long kind of stretch lines kind of coming off the thenar area, down. And these kind of create fun rhythms, as long as you don't get caught up in too many of these. But the way the padding's being pinched has a really interesting way of moving down into the other fingers. So what's also really interesting here is the way that this finger, the ring finger, is pinching the padding, and so that's let's say getting balled up or C curved. And then from there, as the next finger stretches, it really like drops off, kind of pulls down. And so that's what's creating this area. So straight. I probably left, or I definitely left some too much room here. Now this is bending, so I can do my pinch. One line per form, loop in the middle. One line on this one. That's not a hard and fast rule, it's just kind of what I think to edit. And then if I need to, I can always go back in and add more wrinkles. This is also bending, so we give some C curve. This is bone, so straight. And then nail, but slightly turned away so I won't see all of it. And then here's the top. And then we do the same, one line per loop, and then onto the next. We could take a quick look at, since we did on that one, how the lighting's working. Here's the corner of the box for the palm. Here's the transition between top and side for the finger all the way down. And so if I'm lighting something like this, that's all I'm looking for. You know, where is the substitute corner for what we would develop in terms of line with the perspective, in terms of edge. So here we'd have kind of cast shadow. Kind of goes over the finger, and then everything is in shadow, but maybe the top. And then that leaves us with the ring finger. So let's do that here. So out, pinching, loop, and then squared. So now I'm seeing more of the top, so my language will change to show more of that straight. This is perspective of the nail, so that substitute perspective. And then I want to show the other side pinching, so here's my C curve. And now I'm thinking of the bottom, so C curve from back of one to center of the next. Now shadow, just bringing out the corner of each form. So that's the corner. Here this turns away so it doesn't get light. And then this cast, looks cast, or this would be a form shadow, I guess, here. And then the very last one, just be that small finger, and maybe we start here. Here's the pinky, the nail, straight, straight, squared top, and kind of lose it back here, and then it comes back, and then we have this big stretch of the padding again off, and then down to the next, and then above this is all pinching. Bottom is somewhat pinching as well. I'm going to feel that across the form. And so that's more or less it in terms of just getting the whole thing to kind of start out and work together. We have our top view, which we started out with, and then this is a bottom view just to show you how working with the different view of that palm might affect your lay-in for the hand.